If you're listening to this on Monday morning, then I am already out on the road at the Fuller Center Bike Canyon Connector. I'll drop a link in the show notes. Pedaling from 750 miles from Salt Lake City to the Grand Canyon. So at some point, I'm going to be somewhere in that area when you're listening to this, but I'm recording this before I leave. And, you know, as I think about what it takes to do the kinds of things that I do from a physical perspective, right? I have this crazy love for cycling, my bike here, and I love to ride long distance bike rides. I rode 90 miles on Monday in preparation, and then 75 miles yesterday in preparation. So in the Houston humidity, that was fun. No, it wasn't. And but I'm not saying this at all to like brag or whatever, but it makes me think is that how do you get good at anything, right? How do you get better in an athletic sense, but also in a cognitive sense? And the answer is you practice, right? It takes a certain level of maybe stupidity, right? To say, I'm going to go on a 90-mile bike ride in Houston humidity. Actually, it was planned to be 100, and the humidity was killing me, and I cut it short. So I know I wimped out and only did 90. And but when I think about our students, right? I mean, this is maybe my core message, is the only way you get better cognitively is through productive struggle, okay? And through friction. And, you know, again, if a student uses ChatGPT to do their assignments, it's like they take a forklift to the weight room. You get the same benefit, right? That's a quote from Ted Chiang and in the New Yorker. And how do we preserve that? And maybe you're not ready to think about this right now. You're like, I want to go to the beach. I'm going to get a good book. By the way, I just got a good book. I'm very excited to read a good book before I leave. And to just escape. So escape, good. So please escape this summer. Go do what you need to do to become the teacher so that you come refreshed. Refresh yourself, please. Absolutely. You know, stop this podcast if that's what you need to do and refresh yourself. That's super important. So hear me that. But there's something about doing hard things for me that are like non-school related that help me to think and get some space. And that's, I guess, why, like literally while you're watching this, I'm probably on a bicycle and I am climbing some hill. And there's something about that for me, that physical challenge that clears my brain. So most of you know that I've written some books. That's 11 books, I think, or something like that. And I know that the best thinking I ever do has always been on a bicycle or sometimes out on a run. I used to do triathlons. And my mind gets clear. My only goal is the next pedal stroke, the next step. And when your life becomes more elemental, more physical, I guess, more visceral, then life clears up for me. And I find that that has really, really helped me in life. Honestly, I think many of the best things that ever happened in my life happened because at one point I made a choice. And here I'll tell you the story. I was overweight, out of shape. I was in my 30s. And I was on a trip with the family. I had little kids at the time. And I was reading an article at a friend's house. They were runners, and like a Runner's World magazine, and I picked it up, and they were talking about their triathlon friends and how they were in better shape and they didn't have knee problems and all this kind of stuff. And I thought, I wonder if I could do a triathlon. And I was feeling very disconnected in life. I wasn't feeling like life was going as it needed to be. And I said, let me try a triathlon. And I remember running for the first time and running like 2 blocks. And I almost threw up. And I ran back. I mean, I ran 2 blocks and then 2 blocks home. And that's like, oh, that was hard. I was living in Denver at the time, teaching in Denver. And then next day, I had enough I'd already signed up for this race thing. It was a short little triathlon. And then I said, well, I guess tomorrow I'm going to run to the 3rd block and then the 4th block and then one little step at a time. And honestly, I think that a lot of things happen with that one decision. And honestly, the next day and the next day, because so often I know that you start something and you never complete it. And for me, I was able to do it again and again And now it's just a part of my life, right? This exercise thing sometimes was too much for me. There's times that I had regrets that I overemphasized exercise, even over family. That was a bad choice. And I hurt people that were close to me, my wife, my kids. And so there's some things I definitely regret. But also I know that it has helped me in that sort of elemental way to get that space. And there's space and it's space in something completely different than the heady world that I live in, the cognitive world where I'm thinking about education, thinking about my students, or also, it's also exhausting to be a teacher because you're constantly making a million decisions a day, right? The kid asks, can I use the restroom? Or, there's just a million decisions that you have to make a day. And when you're on a bicycle, the only decision is, where when I stop to get Gatorade? Or it's, what's the next pedal stroke, and the next pedal stroke, and the next pedal stroke. And it just sort of flushes my brain, and thinking really happens. I also find it's a great time for connection because I get to ride with other people. Then when I ride with other people, then I can connect with them. But I also find that oftentimes I'm riding by myself. And again, I think maybe it's because I pretend to be an introvert, I pretend to be an extrovert, but I'm actually more introverted, and I get a lot of energy from that time alone, and that thinking clears up. So I hope this is helpful. Again, this is, you are watching this literally while I'm probably on a bicycle somewhere in Utah, climbing a mountain. And I would encourage you to find something that's similar to that. What's the equivalent of that for you so that you can get both the rest, but also that space to discover what's next, what you need to be doing, etc. I would also encourage you, if you haven't already, the MasteryFlip certification course is live. It's available. You can take it. It's about a 4-hour course. If you go to the links, it'll be in the show notes. Go to the link. I would encourage you to sign up. You may need to not take this course now. You can start now and then, or not take it. Find that moment where you've got 4 hours to sit down and maybe not, 1 hour here and 1 hour here, space it out. And I think that's going to really enhance your learning. It's a way to simplify your teaching. It's a way to teach in the age of AI that preserves the cognition of your students. So yeah, I hope that you are enjoying these podcasts. Again, I am still humbled by those who are continuing to watch it, who are continuing to listen to it, continuing to read the excerpts, and to learn from me, this crazy old teacher. So, by the way, as you know, a couple of episodes ago, I talked about how I was in Brazil to do a keynote address. I'm going to plan to release those, I think in late July, when you've probably got some more brain power, because they're kind of long, 45-minute keynotes. And I'll do this as a special edition. So I would encourage you to look forward to that. If you really want, and you're just burning to see one, I could probably send you a link because they're already done and edited. I did it all, set it up before I leave, shall I say, to the bike trip. So thanks again for the Reach Every Student podcast, reacheverystudent.com. And I'm your host, John Bergman. Hit the subscribe button, share, find your buddy and say, hey, you got to listen to this crazy, weird guy. John Bergman, out.